Hey guys, we are back for the last chapter of our book, The Lemonade War. I hope you guys are enjoying it. We're going to read chapter 14 today, but first, a little review on chapter 13. This is called Crisis Management. This is when Evan and all of his friends went over to his friend Jack's house and they went swimming in the pool. And Evan had to borrow some trunks because he didn't have any. And so when he was changing, remember he had that money, that lot of money, that envelope with all that money from Jesse's lockbox. He was still carrying it. He was a little worried about it, but he kind of hid it under the shorts and everything like that. Well, Scott, the boy that he was not a huge fan of, had to leave a little earlier, and when he came back, that money was gone, and he was really worried about it. So he didn't think anybody would take it, but they did. So let's go to chapter 14. This one is called Reconciliation. Reconciliation, the act of bringing together after a difference, as in to reconcile numbers on a balance sheet or resolution. Come on, you two, Mrs. Trusky called up to the stairs. If we don't go now, there won't be any room on the grass. We are coming, shouted Evan, sticking his head out of his room. Jessie was sitting on his bed and he was trying to get her to go to the fireworks. She had her lockbox on her lap and a mulish look on her face. Just say it's a tie, said Evan. Come on, Jess. This whole thing is stupid and you know it. It's not a tie unless it's a tie, said Jessie, knowing she sounded like a brat, but not able to stop herself. How much do you have? Mom's waiting, said Evan. Put your dumb box away and let's go to the fireworks. How much do you have? Evan tensed up his fingers as if they were strangling an invisible ghost. Nothing, okay? I have nothing. Look. He turned the pockets of his shorts inside out. Jessie looked skeptical. You have nothing? You must have made something. Well, I had expenses, so I ended up with nothing, okay? Are you happy? You win. Evan sat on the edge of the bed looking at the floor. Jessie felt her heart sink. You spent all your money on mix for your lemonade on wheel stand? All of it? Evan nodded. Jessie felt like crawling under a bed and never coming out. It didn't pay off good, she whispered. There were a few bugs in the system, Evan said. That's a joke, Jessie would have loved, he thought, before the war. Now it was all just money and numbers and bad feelings. There was no room for laughing anymore. Oh, said Jessie. Her voice was the size of an ant. She stared down at the box in her lap. I've got... She opened the lid of the lockbox, took out the change tray, and pushed aside all the scraps of paper she had collected and the comment card from Megan. She stared. Wait a minute. This isn't my money. She picked up a handful of wrinkled up bills. Evan lay down on the bed and covered his head with his pillow. Jessie counted the money quickly. $62.11? Where did this come from? From me, he said under the pillow. What? Said Jessie. Take that dumb pillow away. I can't understand what you're saying. She hit the side of his legs for emphasis. It's my money, he shouted through the pillow. It was $103, but then I spent $41 for the lemonade on wheel stand, so now it's just $62. Your money? But where's my money? Evan pulled the pillow away from his face. His eyes were closed. His nose pointed to the ceiling. He folded his arms across the chest like a dead man. I took it. Well, give it back, said Jessie. This time she hit the side of his leg for real. I can't. It's gone. He lay as still as a 3-day-old corpse. Gone? Gone from where? Jessie was shrieking now. Never in her life had she worked so hard to earn money. Never in her life had she had more than $100 in her hand. Never in her life had she had a friend who trusted her like Megan had. I don't know, it was in my shorts pocket, and then I played basketball with the guys, and then we went to Jack's house to swim, and I took off my shorts, and I borrowed a suit, and when I went back to change, the money was gone. He sat up in his face and faced his sister. I am really sorry. In a real war, you fight. You fight with your hands and your weapons. You fight with anything you have because it's a matter of life and death. Jessie felt the loss of her hard-earned money like a death, and she ripped into Evan with all the power in her body. She punched him, she kicked him, she threw the lockbox at him. She wanted to tear him up into little pieces. Evan didn't try to pin her, though it would have been easy to do. Part of him just wanted to lie on the bed and take it all, for being the one who started the whole thing by saying, I hate you. For making Jessie feel so rotten about herself just because Evan felt so rotten about himself. For taking her money and losing it to Scott. just for being so stupid. But Jesse was really going at it, and if he didn't protect himself at least a little, he was going to end up in the emergency room, and that would upset his mom. So he just kept his hands in front of his face, just enough to keep Jesse from gouging out his eyes. But he never once tried to hit her back. He was done fighting. Finally, Jessie ran out of gas. She laid down on the bed and tried to make her brain work. Her body was so worn out that her brain felt like the only part of her that could work. "One of your friends stole my money?" she asked. "Yeah, I think it was Scott Spencer," said Evan. "He went upstairs to the bathroom, and then he came down all in a hurry and said he had to go home. After that, I went upstairs, and my money was gone." "He is such a jerk," said Jessie. "The biggest," said Evan. "If he gets an Xbox, I will know it was him." "It was a lot of money," said Jessie, feeling tears start to spring from her eyes. "It was. I couldn't believe how much it was when I saw it. You're really something, you know that, earning all that money selling lemonade?" "Thanks," Jessie thought, though she wouldn't say the word. "Why'd you do it, Evan?" she asked. She meant, why did you take my money? And why did you act so mean? And why did you start this whole war in the first place? But there were so many questions. "I was mad at you for putting the bugs in my lemonade." "Well, I was mad at you for saying you wanted to pulverize me," she said. "Well, I only did that because you were hanging out with Megan, and I felt totally left out." "Well, how do you think I felt when you wouldn't let me hang out with you and stupid Scott Spencer?" "Well, I was mad at you because... Jessie sat up and looked at Evan. Evan looked at the wall. "Because I don't want you in my class this year," he said. "Because I'll embarrass you," she said solemnly. "Because I'll embarrass myself," said Evan. "I never have the right answer in math, and I read slower than anyone when I read out loud, and I make mistakes all the time. And now with you in the class, it's going to be worse. They'll all say, 'Wow, he's dumber than his little sister.'" Evan's shoulders slumped and his head hung low. "You're not dumb," said Jessie. "I know you don't think I am, and that stinks too, that you're going to see how dumb I actually am in school." "You're not dumb," said Jessie again. "You made $103.11 selling lemonade in just 5 days. "Yeah, but you made $208. You see? You're my little sister, and you're twice as smart as me." Jessie shook her head. "Half that money is Megan's. She just gave it to me to give to the Animal Rescue League. I only made $104. Evan unslumped. "Wait, really?" She nodded. "So you made $104 and I made $103? "And 11 cents, said Jessie. "So it was really a tie," said Evan. "No, I won by 89 cents. "But I mean, come on," said Evan. "After all that, it was practically a tie." "No, it was close, but I really won," said Jessie. "Wow, we pretty much tied," said Evan. Jessie decided to let it go, and for the first time in 4 days, she didn't care who had more or who had less. Besides, she was waiting to see how long it took before Evan figured it out. Not long. "Holy crud," he said suddenly. "I lost Megan's money too, $104 to her. Oh, crud." He threw himself back on his bed, covered his face with both arms. Neither of them said anything for a long time, and finally Jessie broke the silence. "I'm really sorry I put the bugs in your lemonade." "Thanks," said Evan. "I'm really sorry I took you and Megan's money." "We shouldn't have done any of this," said Jessie, waving her hand at the money on the bed. "It ruined the end of summer." "Yeah, the whole summer's been crud," said Evan. "Not the whole summer, just the last 5 days. Remember, we went to Bar Harbor and we swam at the pond?" Jessie couldn't stand Evan thinking their whole summer together had been crud. "Yeah, but I think the last 5 days kind of cancels that all out. I can't believe I have to tell Megan Moriarty what..." "She likes you," said Jessie. Evan sat up, kind of surprised. "Really?" "Yeah. I don't get it either, but she's always asking what you're doing and if you can play and stuff. Why do you think she does that?" "Cool. So you guys are friends?" "Yeah," said Jessie. "We're good friends." "Okay then, so she'll be coming over to play and stuff, right?" "That's cool." "You're weird," said Jessie. "Yes, I am," said Evan. There was another long silence. The late summer light of Evan's one-window room had faded to black. And it was nice sitting there, just the two of them in the cooling darkness. An afternoon breeze had kicked itself into a gusty wind, and the shade of the window tapped out a steady beat that was pleasant and reassuring. "This war was stupid," said Jessie. Evan nodded in the dark. Just then they heard the sound of thunder booming in the distance, then more and more until the whole house shook. "The fireworks!" shouted Jessie. "Oh, snap!" Evan shouted. Jessie and Evan raced down the stairs. At the bottom, they found their mother sitting on the last step, watching the sky through the sliding screen door. "Why didn't you call us?" asked Evan. "Yeah, we're missing the fireworks," said Jessie. "Oh, I figured whatever the two of you were talking about was more important than a fireworks show." Mrs. Tresky turned to look at her kids. "Did you work it out?" Evan and Jessie nodded, just as a Roman candle exploded in the sky. Not a bad seat, said Mrs. Chesky,